Okay, folks, good afternoon. Okay, perfect. Let's pick up where we left off. Okay, and let's get this situated. All right. Like I said, I didn't think I was going to get a chance to paint again today, but ta-da, surprise. We do, so at least an hour, I hope. All right, let's finish this Russian guy up. And the trumpeter. All right, which one of these has the magic fluid in? There we go. All right, we'll need that. And let's check out what we've got left to do on this particular fellow. Not a whole lot. Hooves, socks if this horse gets it, and we're gonna skip the little banner there on his flag. We're gonna come back to that later. We figure out exactly what we're gonna do with the main guy. So just socks. Let's see if he's even gonna have any. Let's look at the other. I got a lot of horses with him. That guy doesn't have any. That one doesn't have any. Let's just do it. It looks a little bit more complete when you do it anyways. So for that, what we're going to do is we're going to take the core color that we have here. All right, and we're going to mix that back up. We use cavalry brown for that. And let's get on this here. So you need a little bit more fan than that. Not sure what number it's on, but all right. We've got, this is where it was. So let's try to put it back in the same place. That's overkill. Don't need very much of it. And black is still good. Black is still good. Okay. So come over here and okay, this is about the dark color that was down here at the bottom recesses of the horse's legs. Okay, that's what we're going to try to replicate, and just make sure all that has a good coating. And what we're going to do is we're going to fade from this color into the white. That's how I do it anyways. I'm sure there's other ways to do it as well. But I'm pretty happy with my method. You're happy with what you do in your method? Didn't do yours. As I'd like to say this year, you do you. I'm not trying to convert anybody. I'm just doing small talk here. So we're going to finish the end of these horses. And I know sometimes they have 3 socks, sometimes it's all 4, sometimes it's just 1. I'm going to do all 4 because it looks more complete to me. If you only do some, it ends up looking like you didn't finish the job. I know it's, you know, unless most of this is for an untrained eye, there's not some horse expert that's going to go through and go, oh, I noticed that you specifically left some of them off. This is just to the untrained eye. Looks like it is unfinished. If you're only doing certainly 1, it's almost like you forgot or lost interest or something, but it's perfectly okay to do that. And we're actually going to go ahead and give this one a star. I read somewhere that it's very unusual to find a horse that does not have some kind of markings on it that are white or, you know, that sort of thing on it. And you could say, well, go look at pictures of horses. Okay, well, but I want to know what the horses looked like in the Middle Ages, not the modern ones. You know, and which breed of horse. And I'll tell you, that's one thing I don't know jack about. It's like, yeah, I can tell the difference between a donkey and a burro and an ass, but not Not, oh, that's an Arabian, or that's a, you know, this kind or the other. They all look the same to me. Maybe not if they were side by side and you pointed them out, but not getting into that. That's going down the route of the rivet counter, but we're talking about horses now, so that's too much horsing around. All right, we're just going to highlight this up a little bit, and we'll do the hose on this guy, and this horse is complete, and we'll move on to the banner bearer. And for those of you just joining me, thanks for coming by on my third filming of the day. The first one was a given, but the last two just kind of happened. So it's kind of nice. Didn't have really any plans on doing this much filming today, but it all worked out. Making up for this last week where I didn't get any painting done or any filming done, really. Except for the game that we did on Monday, of course. Book 1 Acadians. Or actually, we keep calling them Acadians, but I think the leader of them was Sargon of Akkad. It's not Akkad, so technically I guess it would be Akkadians. But when you look at it spelled out, you would think it would be Acadians, but I bet it's Akkadians. But regardless, you guys know what we're talking about. Book 111. And yeah, some fun book 1 action, so check out that video if you guys haven't, if that's something that you're interested in doing. All right, let's come in and get some pure white in afterwards, and then we're done with this. All right, folks coming in, 6, awesome. Thanks. I know this morning it took like 30 minutes to get everybody in, and it just didn't seem like you guys were on very long, and I unfortunately had to cut off. That was not my intention. I want to get these boogers done. I'm done messing with these guys. I want to work on a next excitement section. So, okay, and now we're going to do some hooves. So this is just to give you an eye. Okay, do some hooves for this guy. And where's my stoned out gray? That's in the wrong place. Should be this one. There we go. So the problem with this Vallejo paints is the numbers will actually wear out. This one, if I had not written this down, I would not have known what color this is. Ultimately, it only matters for like reordering it, but you can't read where it said stone here or what the Vallejo code is. So just for reordering purposes, nothing else. Let's clean this tip a little bit. And yes, we're still going to paint tomorrow morning. So don't think because we do a lot of painting in the middle of the day, it's like, well, he's not going to want to paint tomorrow morning. Oh yeah, we want to get these guys done. All right, there's no guarantee to get much done Monday through Friday, so we want to make hay while the sun still shines on the weekend. Where is my cork? Not that one, the one that has the needle at the end of it. And it's done locked off. Let's try this. black here. This will be the last step, and we can put this guy down. Now this guy, for whatever reason, has a little piece of fluff here. To come back and repaint that white. Better to come in and the good thing is if you ever have to touch up anything like that, it's usually in a place that doesn't get handled a lot. So that makes it a lot easier to deal with. All right, let's go back and do that white we were talking about. And we are going to go ahead and paint the muzzle. Okay. All right, this guy's done, other than his little flag, which we'll have to come back to. Next. Okay, banner bearer. A sip of some liquid motivation here. And now we got to decide what color we're going to do this horse guy. Let's pull something out. I'm thinking about it. Let's pull out. I haven't looked at it in a while. A couple of Osprey books. And as I find it here, one for the Cauca River. It's this right here. And I've got two books on the Russians, Armies of Medieval Russia and Medieval Russian Armies. Hey, it's like the same name of the book, just in opposite things. So, to be honest with you, I haven't even really looked at these. I've had these books a long time and haven't really looked at them while I was embarking on this project. So, and yeah. So let's take a look at some of these horses. This is a light colored one. And I like this guy. The guy with the ugly face. He's so ugly they got to put a face mask on him. That's what I like to call him. I think it looks pretty cool, honestly. But I don't think I'm going to give the leader a traditionally white horse. Just figured I would do something a little different. Mix it up a little bit. Brown, brown, brown. Oh, this looks cool. I like this shield. Of course, this one technically is for the later army, 1325 to 1400. So, uh-oh, this guy didn't follow the traditional rules of Western heraldry. The red and the blue are touching, no white or yellow in between. Blasphemy. More brown horses. Okay, so we're going to make the banner bearer a traditional brown horse. And I think I'll make the leader, I'll give him a black horse. Because I don't have a whole lot of them in this army. I've got one, I think. I got some dark brown ones, but we're going to give this guy a black colored horse. And this one will be a traditional brown. Done, settled. That's how I make decisions. I talk to myself and eventually I come up with the right answer. Hey, I could change my mind later. I just repaint it. It's not that big of a deal. So let's get some brown out. What are we doing here? The old chocolate brown. Okay. This will work. After we're done with these figures, we're going to replace this. This is a bit crazy. Okay. The brown horse. Right. So let's find a spot that isn't too congested. I know it might be kind of difficult. And we're just going to paint everything in this color right here. So I know we talked about some audible recommendations earlier today. If you guys got out recommendations as well, I'm almost done with the book on the War of the Roses by Dan Jones. So you got something that just is awesome jumping out at me, jumping out that was awesome and just jumping out at you. Let me know. Maybe I'll check it out. Mr. Shevlin, welcome. Aha, question. Did you make the container for the airbrush thinner or did you buy it somewhere? So I'll be the first to admit I don't have all the answers. I wish I did, but I don't. So occasionally, some of you guys will come on and give me some good ideas. Unfortunately, if I don't write down who it is, I unfortunately cannot remember who it was that gave me the idea. But I was using the cap of a Games Workshop paint to hold the airbrush thinner here, which I discovered kind of on a whim. And someone was watching this and said, hey, you should use a contact lens case to hold it. And brilliant idea. It's what I use now. So that's all this is a contact lens case. And the nice thing about it is like if I'm done painting with the other container, I would just leave it here. And eventually, after 4 to 6 hours, it would all evaporate and there wouldn't be any left. But now when I'm done, I can just close it up and there's a chance to recoup and reuse some of this material. Not that I use very much of it, because you can see this is going to last me probably at the rate we're going 5 more years. But yeah, this stuff is expensive. I'll buy it again. It was bought on a kind of a whim to try transfer colors over. I know I've mentioned that several times, but I wanted to use the eyedroppers for the Games Workshop paint. It ended up being more trouble than it was worth, but it made me buy this and then try to find a use for this when I decided not to do it again. And this stuff is miraculous. This is kind of one of those hidden gems between this and my Otlite that I wouldn't want to paint without. And it's just kind of a fluke. So yeah, contact lens case. I have a ton of them. I use contact lenses, and every time you reorder them, they give you more of them, and they're really inexpensive. These just happen to be look different than any of the other ones I have. These are from Easy Contacts, so mail order contacts, and bam. So somebody gave me this great idea, and I will give them credit as long as I remember who it is, and I don't. So I don't have all the answers. Sometimes you could learn a lot from a dummy or people that chime in or what have you. So yeah, that's what this channel is all about. Is about sharing information. So we don't go into a painter's dark age, right? We've learned these very specific things, and doing what we're doing, might as well share them. You know, I know that I have heard other people that do not want to do this sort of thing on their channel because they contract paint for other people. But since I have no idea, no intention of doing that for multiple reasons, the main reason is that you know, it's not worth my time for what the rate is right now on on that, and I don't want to pay for other people. We need them for videos, so we show you guys how to play the game and stuff. So yeah, I don't want to make money on my hobby because then it becomes a work, a chore. But that's why the internet is so good for our hobby, because we can share information instead of, you know, before the internet where it was just like, you know, word of mouth, and it doesn't work so good. So, but yeah, there's lots of people that have, you know, good ideas. We might as well share them from each other, and nobody has all the right answers, you know. Lots of different ways of doing something. I use your tip to use airbrush fluid for thinning paint instead of water. It works a treat. It is. It's almost like it thins it without losing the pigment. I don't know. You know, it's really expensive, but if you're already using it, you already know you don't go through very much, so it'll last forever. And they do make it in this size for Vallejo, and I'm sure other brands would work as well. I just happened to Amazon this thing. This was like $20, which is really expensive. So, but it looks like it's going to last like 5 or 6 years, so I should be good. I will keep buying it. It's even if it lasted a year, even if it lasted 6 months, I'd still do it. It's well, you already know it's got some lubricationary property. So not only does it thin the paint, but it's almost like it gives the brush, it makes the brush more non-stick, so the paint doesn't stick to it and congeal on the bristles, so to speak. And I don't, it just, you know, you're using it, you know what the deal is. And I don't know that anybody is using that for thinner for painting per se. I mean, I'm sure that they are, but I just used it as it was a thinning way of thinning down these Games Workshop paints that I saw in somebody's video to get them to pour out into the eyedropper. so you can get all the excess. So, hey, you know, sometimes you find things by accident. So, lots of people claim they don't like to paint horses. I really do like to paint horses. Sometimes it gets a little monotonous trying to figure out what color you're going to paint the horse, but once it's decided, yeah, the rest of it I enjoy. I guess I never did look in the Calca River book, did I? Let's see. I guess I didn't. There's some already. They have a leader in there who has a funny name. One of the Russian leaders. He has a. His parents couldn't think of a good name to name him. I'll find out what his name is right here. It's like Mislavovich or something like that. I'll tell you what his name is right here. Not another Russian commander. Is it Mstislav Mistlavich, Prince of Galicia? Not the Galicia that's in the Iberian Peninsula, but the Galicia that's near somewhere in Russia. I don't remember right off the bat where it is. But if I see Galicia, that's what I think of as, oh, okay, that's north western Spain. Nope. Known as Udali or the Daring. Interesting. Yeah, this is the battle where the Mongols, Subadai, crushed the Mongols, and then he captured a bunch of the leaders, and then he decided to have a tea party on top of them. Yeah, he bound them all up and decided to have a tea party on top of them, smothered and covered. So, yeah, I don't like Mongols. I'm sure I've mentioned that before. There's enough of you Mongol lovers. There's some people, if you think of empires as people who live in a neighborhood, there's some people you don't want to move in next to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, come meet the new neighbors, the Assyrians. Probably not a good idea to have those guys move in next to you, you know? Mongols is another one of those. All right. Mongols are on my to-do list, but I'm afraid that, like I've mentioned this before, if I do the Mongols, then I'm going to probably do want to do some historical battles with them, which is going to create special rules and getting them to play a little bit more Mongoly. And the next thing you know, I'm playing those special rules with the Mongols, and when I don't get to use them, I'm going to think the game sucks. So I don't really want to go down that slippery slope of starting to modify the game rules. I'm good at painting, so I don't want to go down that slippery slope at this time. All right, let's put some muscles in here. That's one of the good things about DBAs. You get everybody to play the same way, and then the next thing you know is you show up and you've somebody who never played and everybody knows how to play. You don't have to spend. Well, this is how we interpret it, kind of thing. You can just get down and cracking jokes and rolling dice. So, even my nap, getting sleepy. Well, if we could get this guy mostly done in this session, then tomorrow morning, certainly we can get the last guy done. And then we can start working on the next army. Now, the strappings on this guy are going to be red. I can tell you already because, well, I just decided that that's how it's going to be. So we won't use red strappings on this particular guy. All right, let's bring this up a little bit more with the core color straight. Uh-oh, what do we got here? Part 2, Hanmakainen. Perfect. Man, I haven't seen you in a while. How are things in the Great White North? What is it? End of May? Certainly you guys have thawed by now. The land of the blonde people. I'm sure there's a couple of non-blonde people in your country. Not many, but the land of the people that gave the Russians an ass whooping. They didn't come back for more. Good. I know that if I was still doing naval wargaming like I used to, I don't know, 25 years ago, whatever, now with Shapeways, they make those two coastal defense ships, the Ilmarinen and Väinämöinen for Finland. There's some cool looking ships too. They're equal. They got what, 4 11-inch guns or something like that, and some secondaries. But they're little coastal defense ships, and they've got this nice towering conning tower on there. Shapeways makes those guys now. So I remember I used to have a bunch of Soviet ships as well, and yeah, I think I scratched. No, what did I scratch build? I ended up scratch building a model of the Erebus. That's what it was. A British coastal monitor. That two 15-inch guns. That's what it was. Out of like balsa and leftover turrets or something like that. But yeah, now Shapeways makes freaking everything. So, you know, summer is upon us and nights are brighter and brighter. What is on your painting table now? These are the last two figures of my Russians. What's on my painting table now? A freaking mess. Let's show you here, in case you haven't caught up here. So this is what we're working on right now. These are the knights for they're called the early Russians. So this is the Alexander Nevsky type time period Russians. So it's 5 stands of knights that we're going to do. And all those guys are complete. And we've got the last 2 figures here. And then they'll be done. And then we'll start working on the next project, which it looks like it's going to be Papal Italian. We're going to be doing the Pope and having all kinds of fun with that. All the jokes that are going to emanate from that subject matter. So we're going to do the Pope around the time period of the mid-1200s. So I believe that's Innocent the Fourth. So we're gonna have some Ghibelline and Guelph action. So that's at least what the plan is. That's where we're going next. For the time being, that's what it looks like. So that's going to involve a lot of figures that are less than stellar looking, like the miniature. They're very old school, and they should paint up quick, and you'll be able to see some before and after stuff that proves you can make some older looking figures that people don't like to give the time of day to, and they'll turn out just fine. So that is what the plan is for the time being. But these guys will be a nice fit because they fit into Mitch's favorite army, which is his Poles. They're an enemy of the Poles. They're actually, they can use them as an ally as well. And they also fight the Teutonic Knights, obviously. And yeah. So when we get these guys done, we're going to definitely do a From Russia with Love theme. These guys fighting their enemies. And hugs and kisses from Russia, right? Well, that is the plan. Watching from my deck, it's amazing out here. I was outside today and it was breezy, which is extremely unusual for the middle of Florida because we're nowhere near the coast. So, yeah, I would imagine Kansas City, right? You're Kansas City or St. Louis, one of those two. I get them mixed up because they're even from each other and in the middle of the United States. I forget which one you are. I think you're St. Louis. Have I found my Russian infantry yet? Well, somebody's paying attention. I have not. They're here. I just need to. They're mixed in with somebody else. I'm sure. You want to see them? I'll St. Louis. There we go. Let me see. Let me see if I can find them real quick. Nope, not there. Nope, not there. Nope. I've gotten to the point where I've got now complete, but I can't find completed things. I guess that's a good problem to have. Oh, let's see. Let's see if they're here or here. No, not here either. It's my Irish. Burgundians. I don't know. I don't know where the hell they are. I don't know where the hell they are. Let me go look into the display case. This is actually a good time to look for them because it's kind of bright. Let's see if they. I'll be right back. I do need to have them out here. Found them. They're hidden in plain sight. in front of my case. Okay. Let's see. These are all Merlaton figures. If fascinated with Eastern European history, also have gotten to play games of DBA with the Carthaginians and Republic of Rome as I painted. Great game, so thank you for the inspiration. Excellent. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun with this game. It could be better, but I'm not going to complain. It could be a hell of a lot worse, like every other game I've ever played. Okay, so we got some Saloy here, skirmishers, bowmen, 2 stands of spear, light horse, light horse. These are all Merlaton figures. Well, these are all Merlaton figures. And this is my stand of the blade stand of German knights. So these are actual heraldry from one of the codexes. And I think there's actually a guy that has, I didn't pull this out of nowhere, although this looks very suspect that I would have done that. He's got dice on his heraldry. I forget which guy it is, but it's an actual guy that has that. So I'm like, that's pretty appropriate. Notice I did not use a 1 as one of them. It's all 4, 5s, and 6s. But these, when I was talking about, these are the shields. So these are the Little Big Man Studio shields that when I did them, I was not impressed with them. And then I sealed them. They turned out fine. So they are completely dull with dull coat. But before you do that, they look super shiny. See how it's super shiny like this? But then here, it's not shiny at all. So they will look better than they're looking like here. So all these guys had shields that were shiny, and I'm like, I really don't like these shields. They're not going to turn out well. But yeah, they do. Once you seal them, and they turn out pretty good. Now, I do enjoy painting shields, so it's not, well, it's a much better job than I'd be able to do by hand, but none, I mean, like this, I wouldn't be able to do all this intricate stuff on here, but, or I would, but it would take me a freaking year just to do one, so it's not really time effective. So they work really well, but they look kind of crummy right now because they haven't been sealed up. So we'll do all those at once, but this is what I wanted to, this is the whole reason I wanted to show you guys what these shields look like when they were complete. But these are good looking, well, they're good looking figures. You know, the figures, the miniatures are very good. So this is the Russians that we have left. So this is the army plus 5 stands of knights. So this is what the early Russians were going to do. And these are, they tend to be larger figures. The horses are kind of on the big side, like this guy in particular. This is kind of a large horse. And they look better in person than they do in the video here. The video, this light tends to wash things out. But yeah, so here we go. So we've got a blade, 2 solid spears, a fast bow, 2 skirmishers, and 2 light horse, along with the 5 knights. Aggression 0 forest. And I have a little village from, I want to say JR models that I had way back when that I did it. And I'll have probably a Russian village at some point, but I'll do that in between projects because I definitely want to get the Pope rolling. So, but yeah, I'm really happy with how they turned out. Really happy with how they turned out. So I like the Eastern European stuff as well. It's something a little different. So exotic in a way. And I'm sure you'll get your fill of me talking in a silly made-up Russian accent, you know, and making jokes about, you know, public drunkenness and something like, and all the other fun things that they're known for. I guess I better find some vodka that I like so I can drink that as well with them. I don't know, not a big fan of vodka, but Okay, as we were. Thank you for that. I found them. The problem is I'm doing these things at night and there's no light out there, and my display case is dark and I couldn't find them. So, good. I want to show you guys the shields. Anyways, see how they look. So, as soon as we get these guys done, we'll be able to spray these shields and make them look a lot better. I'm not discouraged, but when I was doing these spearmen first, I'm like, I really don't like these. I don't like these Little Big Man Studios. They're shiny, the and they're just not turning out well. And I just had to have a little bit of faith and just stick with it, and it turned out just fine. So there you have it. Yeah, we'll have a Russian themed battles for sure. So I keep hinting that one of these days I'm going to do 100 Years War of French, but that is just such a huge undertaking of so many figures to paint that, and I've seen lots of people that have that army. I'd rather do something like the Papal Army. I've never seen anybody use the Papal Army. I'm sure people have built it, just not in my circles. So, where did I snookered myself? DBA and vodka sounds like a recipe for a YouTube video taken quickly down. Not me. I behave well, and I sip things. Beer is the one that doesn't work. I get super sleepy. The other day, was it Monday? Yeah, I had one beer and I was getting really sleepy. So I definitely do a lot better with straight things. So YouTube video taken swiftly down. Not compared to the stuff that's out on YouTube, man. There's some extremely questionable things on there, and none of it is on my channel. None of it is in my channel. It's just part of the experience. I've said it before. I need to drink at work, not when I'm not at work. Oh man. Okay, let's take this and lighten this up a little bit. Where's the white at these days? See, I had an opportunity to get some more painting done this afternoon. I figured I'd take it. Makes it just all the easier to be able to complete tomorrow because I really want to tinker with the new army and what units we're going to use for the spear and so forth. And start working on our Pope figure with some green stuff and all kinds of fun things. Don't need to do a whole lot of green stuff to them, but a little bit. Yeah, the old Roman and Carthaginian matchup's definitely a classic one. It definitely favors the Romans, but they did win both wars, so not necessarily because of the tactical combat situation in them, but you know, yeah, and everybody seems to be interested in that, so that's always a good pair of starting armies. thought this was your Komnenen army. No? Nope. Not yet. No. They're towards the top. I will get to them in the next 3 years. I will get the Komnenen done in the next 3 years. He posted great little impersonations and the banters and players. Green type painting, chanting, everybody have to go. It's getting late here already. Okay, well, good. If you like impersonations, more to come. That's my favorite thing to do, even if they're bad. I don't know if they're bad. How about overgeneralized? How about that? I'm just a stupid American. I'm doing better than most of the people here. So there you go. There's my disclaimer. Yeah, Condon, I'm definitely going to do him at some point. And I want to do Manuel. It's my middle name, and everybody does Alexios. And yeah, I want to do the other guy with the reforms where they turn into knights. So Alexios wants to do them. I told you it's going to be Manuel. Manuel. Yeah. The problem that I have with the Comnenian army, okay? Good morning, Mr. Cog. How are you? Or evening for you. The problem that I have with the Comnenian army is the crisis I'm going to have with the shield painting on the horses. The information just isn't available. So I have two options to take. So we're specifically talking about the knights. So the knights, there is, I want to say, the command stand and four other units of knights, or three other units of knights. And this is for the modification that was made in, I think, 1147, right? That around that time period. So you're going to have four stands of knights or so with the teardrop almond shaped kite type shields. Okay. And the question is, do you make each guy with a different shield, or do you make all of them the same, or do you make every group of three with the same theme? And I think that's what I'm going to do, because to have the shields, they're going to be nobility ish. I mean, you're not going to equip normal guys. They've got some kind of feudal type hierarchy in their own Byzantine way. But I think that they should be organized according to. I just think it's going to be better for every stand of three to have the same pattern shield, as opposed to every single shield being different. Because when you get down to it, all the shields are going to have the same shape. That's just my brainstorming ahead of time. What I'm thinking. That's the only wild card in it. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of information, that's available to us war gamers as far as how they're organized or what units of that time period. So, or at least I haven't found any. So, if you know any, then you'll sell from that. Well, okay. Your comedian or Elaine Tullier, right? I heard his stuff is amazing. Yes, I do have, but it's not a complete army. So I'm probably going to mix them with Old Glory for some of the other ones. You vote every group of three with the same theme. Yeah. Okay, good. Well, I mean, I'll tell you what, you tell me, you give me the Greek ideas and I'll tell you the Spanish ideas, okay? And together we can, I'm going to show you guys this while I'm thinking about it. Yeah, you get me sidetracked. Oh, well, I'm having fun, right? So let's look at the book, which is not very useful, on that I have on Byzantine armies, 1118 to 1462. We don't care about the 14. We don't care about the Byzantines after the Byzantium got after Constantinople Constantinople got sacked by the Franks. Sorry, we're interested before that. So let's look at the color plates in here. Oh, the Serbs are in here. Let's get to the. Okay, so here's what we have. Spanish feudal and Andalusian. Spanish feudal was my first army. Okay. So we could have one unit of knights that would have this or something like that. I think this is a little too bland, but you could put a bronze end, and with my style of painting, there'd be a little black line between that and this yellow color, and then the green, so it would pop. Okay, so that would work. But this is like the only example there is of any kind of shield patterns. Okay, so my buddy Joe let me borrow a book that, to be honest with you, I haven't really looked at. I need to take pictures of it and then use it again for my Byzantine. But he does have some stuff on the Byzantine stuff. And he said he picked this up on Amazon pretty inexpensive. That is an Osprey book, yes. And this is the uniforms of the Roman world. Okay, and it's retails for $35, but I think he said he got it on Amazon a lot cheaper. Well, let's just get to the part in the back, okay? Let's get to the Byzantinian. I don't mind things in English accents, books on tape and stuff like that, Audible, but I hate when people call it Byzantine. It just drives me bananas. All right, so post-Manzikert. So we got guys who just have a totally red shield. We're not doing that. That's boring. That's lack of initiative. Okay, so here, that's a cool pattern, similar to that other one. See, this looks kind of basic, so I'm going to have to dress something like this up. But I can see a whole unit having this. Unfortunately, the Komnenin banner looks like this. And I mean because it looks kind of lame. Because Byzantine banners are really, really cool looking. This isn't one of them. This is just like, we got colors and let's just kind of put it together. So that's, unfortunately, but that's what it is. I mean, sometimes you've got to, and that's all you have. That's the only guy that's in here that has any kind of, here's a Varangian guard. Talk about cool stuff right here. These are tight shield guys. Okay, here's this guy again. You could tell that whoever drew this ended up taking some of the material from Angus MacBride in the Byzantine Army book. That's it. That's all you have. So I'm probably going to come up with some other patterns on there, but I don't have enough heavy cavalry to do it because it was a semi-army pack that somebody was selling, and I got a really good deal on it. And they are a time period Byzantine army that I find particularly interesting. And I also have Cilician Armenians to do. I have an army of them as well. So Mitch has got Crusaders, and I think he's got a bunch of Muslims to do. He has already Muslims done, so Byzantines and the Armenians. I'll do the Orthodox guys, right? So Orthodox guys have really cool Virgin Mary and the child type banners and really, really cool stuff. So there's all kinds of really cool Byzantine type shields, and it's like flags, and it's like, oh, so that's what I get with a Komnenin? Like, that's freaking boring as crap. So we'll see. Let's see what we got here. The Greeks just say Roman when referring to Byzantine. Yeah, I can't do that. Sorry. I can't do that. Nothing against the Byzantines. I just can't do that. So, famous Greek hero from the 1820 War of Independence said, I was born a Roman, I will die Roman, referring to Greek identity. Yeah, I'll let you do that. I can't do that. It's different, So, and part of it is at least my perception. When I think of something, when somebody says Roman, I automatically think non-Christian. I know there's overlap in there, but to me, Romans is multi-gods. And I know that, for many years, even the Western Romans had a Christian backing in it, but that's not my immediate go-to. And it would be like trying to refer to the Byzantines not being Christian. It would be very weird. I don't know. That's just perception. But under no circumstances am I calling them Byzantine. No, I can't do that. I don't know if I can live with myself. But that's all you have to go on the shield. So a lot of it is pulling things out of your nether regions, but also making an educated guess in doing so. So I snuck in another live stream. There you are, my favorite Martian. See, you didn't miss a live stream after all. That's right. I think I got another half hour I can pull this off. So we'll see how far we can get on this. But the Byzantines are definitely on my to-do list. So, because, I mean, think about it. Can you imagine us doing a game where the banter involves blinding people and cutting off people's noses? I mean, that in and of itself is entertainment. So, even amongst the Greeks today, if you want to say that you're a true patriot Greek, you will say that you're a Roman or a politi, citizen of Constantinople. Martian, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Okay. So, yeah, we got to have cutting off the noses jokes. Come on. Oh, man. Usurpers and the blues and the greens and iconoclasm. Isn't that kind of like, that's kind of, I was watching the, the, the podcast, the guy that took over from, I mentioned him this morning, the History of Rome guy. I can't remember what his name is now. He did a great job, and he was when he was nearing the end of his podcast, he was considering whether or not he was going to extend to the fall of Constantinople. He didn't end up doing that because I think he started a family and he just got overwhelmed, which is a shame because he did a really good job. The guy that picked up didn't like his speaking voice and his meter. I'm sure he's a fine guy. He just didn't work for me. Now, with that said, I still listen to him all the way through like maybe the 900s AD. So I went like 450, 478 through like 900 through the whole iconoclasm thing. And, again, a lot of the stuff involved religious heresies and interpretations and patriarchs and not exactly something I'm particularly interested in. But that whole iconoclasm thing reminded me a little bit about the uh, the Protestants and the Catholics and the Calvinists and all that kind of stuff. So, History of Rome podcast was epic. Yeah, he has a talent. Mike Duncan. He has a talent. I don't know if the guy's any fun at parties. I am, okay, but I'm not a good historian. But he has a talent for explaining complicated things in very easy to understand way, and he's really good at that. So yeah, Mike Duncan, and yeah, he decided not to do the Constantinople part, which is a shame because he's excellent. He's really really good. He interjects his dry. I don't know if his humor is that dry, sarcastic. I like his humor. But the guy who took over the history of Byzantium, I mean, I'm sure he's a well-meaning guy, and it is a crap ton of work what they're doing. It was just kind of hard to follow him because he just didn't have the same personality that Mike Duncan did. But there's lots of interesting things that happened during that time period. In particular, what I thought was really interesting was that time period with the seesaw battles of, hope I don't get this wrong, just before Heraclius, where the Persians pushed them all the way back. And I wasn't even aware that the Persians had conquered Egypt with that one guy whose name, that one general named Shaharbazad or something like that. Yeah, that guy was a badass. But they ended up conquering all, just really interesting stuff, you know. You're fun at parties too. Of course, you're from Texas, you know. Just add boots, right? You're glad you showed me those color plates. I have three figures that look like Normans, but their kite shells are a little bit more tear-shaped. They may start another army. They have no home right now. Why don't you send me a picture of them on, just send me a picture on Facebook and maybe I can help you ID who they are. There are some really cool looking Norman figures. I'm going to say this again. When you find conflicts, there's always one side I'm more attracted to than the other. And it's usually who I think has the cooler looking uniforms, whatever they are. And that's why I've always been kind of pro Norman because the Normans just look freaking cool, with their long, much cooler than the Vikings. The Vikings never did anything for me, but the Normans look cool with the freaking chainmail, with the long. It just, there's a lot of really cool looking Norman figures, especially the Norman guys that went into Italy. Those guys were freaking badasses. A lot of the stuff that you read and you wonder if it's true, a lot of the battles that the Hotfield brothers and stuff went into Italy with, it's almost along the lines of the conquistadors that went into, I fought the Aztecs. There was only a couple hundred of them, and they just whooped ass. And it was like you just wonder, like, how can two or three hundred Norman knights just really just devastate another force that clearly outnumbers them? And you just kind of wonder, like, okay, that would never happen in a game, but they just did. I mean, I guess I don't know, but if the Sassanids and Byzantines hadn't kicked the crap out of each other, the Arabs may not have conquered. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Um, you buy a Norman CNC from Museum Miniatures, great looking figure, but the horse is caparison and have no picture of that. Yeah, yeah, their Normans don't use trappings until you're starting to talk into like that stuff doesn't happen until maybe 1120s, maybe 1100 if you're really pushing it, but then, you know, yeah, that's not what you think. Definitely not Norman conquest type period stuff. Off topic, but you went and bought some museum Z range. That's not off topic. We're talking figures. Um, I did not see my comment this morning on Harold the Second Huscarls. Huh. Is that? I did not see that. Let me see if I can find it here. Well, I'm going to have to leave this page, but that's okay. Let's go to manage videos. I unfortunately have to have moderating comments on, and not for you guys. It's for the people that come through and want to put links to nudie sites, or there's people out there doing nefarious stuff, and it's not you guys. It's just no, I didn't see that comment. No, and it's not on here. It's not on held for review. Yeah. But unfortunately, I had to do that because otherwise, I wake up in the morning and find out that there's like 40 comments I got to delete, and it just sends the wrong message. I mean, you guys, if you're gonna do nasty stuff, they can go somewhere else and do it there. We don't need them here bothering us. So, you recently learned that his Huscarls enlisted as Varangians for Alexios and were subsequently killed by Guiscard at Dyrrachium. Wow, interesting. Yeah, the Varangians are cool. They got some cool shield patterns. Oh yeah, yeah. Because I actually have a custom figure that I made for Guiscard because I was building a Norman army. Never got around to it because Mitch went and bought one. But I have a figure that I made for Guiscard, and I gave him a cape just so he stands out a little bit different as one of the other ones. But again, I don't understand how Joel does not have favorite generals because Guiscard is definitely somebody who's that and Bohemond. Those two guys were just freaking, how can you not like the stuff that they were involved in? You know, again, probably not guys you want as neighbors, but really interesting people. That's like when Kingdom of Heaven comes out. Like, why did they pick that? Well, because they're making a movie and they're trying to push an agenda. If you said, "Hey Tony, you get to make a movie about the Crusades," I'm like, "First Crusade, no doubt about it," because it's just insane the stuff that happened. For starters, how it starts off. It's like it starts off as like a Holocaust film. It's just incredible. You can't make this stuff up. There's so many interesting things that happen in history that, it's a shame that people don't know more about it. It's just absolutely fascinating. So, yeah, First Crusade, definitely. Okay. Man, somebody's got a loud motorcycle. But yeah, I definitely have favorite generals or people that I like to read about. Let's put it that way. I've said it before. I Somebody asked me, what was your favorite general of Alexander? What was it? Caesar, Alexander, or Napoleon? And I'm like, Pyrrhus. I freaking love Pyrrhus. Pyrrhus is awesome. Well, he's extremely interesting. Let's put it that way. So, who makes a figure for Robert Guiscard? I took an old glory figure that was a general and modified him. Crazy survived William to be killed by Robert. Yeah, the Huscarls. Dante talks about Robert in Inferno. Yeah, would have liked Dante to describe him as burning or being tortured by some demon captain. You inspired me to paint tonight. Thought I was tired. There's many times I don't want to paint. But the thing about painting is, it's kind of like working out. You may not like it when you're doing, but when you're done, you're glad you did. And it's like this is like therapy for the soul. Like you have something to show for it. What I'm not going to encourage people to do is watch television because that's a total waste of time. Almost always a total waste of time. But painting, oh yeah, this keeps you from killing people. I mean, keeps you on your best behavior. It is. This is extremely therapeutic, even if you paint slow, because you're moving towards a goal. You're constantly moving towards a goal, and just stick with it. You will get it accomplished, and you'll never have to paint whatever it is that you're painting again. You can move on to something else. They may make a figure by that. You know what? Forged in Battle may make a a figure for Guiscard. I'm going to check that out right now. Their new Dark Ages range. I know that they make. Well, let's just check it out. Let's see. Forged in Battle, 15 millimeters in their Dark Age range. And remember, someone's interpretation of what this person looks like. So, like for instance, I would never paint a Norman army that had William the Conqueror or William the Bastard, depending on how you want to look at it, as the general, and have the figure where he's tilting his helmet up, showing, "Hey, look, it's really me," because it's just not very commanding. Yes, that happened only one moment, but not exactly um, my type of thing. Dark Ages villagers, generals, etc. Okay, so let's make this is Arthurian. What other generals do we have down here? Priest. Why are these other things on here? Here it is. Dark Ages assorted specialty figures and generals. Who do we have here? They have a Belisarius. They have a William the Conqueror. They do not make a guy on them. They make Harold Godwinson on foot and Harold Hardrada. Pandulf Ironhead. I believe that guy was a Lombard guy. if I remember correctly. I had to find out who it is. Yeah, there's Belisarius. Yeah, there's William with his, hey, look, it's really me. Um, no, they do not make a figure for, they don't make a figure for Robert Guiscard. The problem with Robert Guiscard is, what do you do with the shield? What in the world do you do with a shield? Because I've seen stuff where it's not heraldry yet, but I've seen some people depict him with the blue shield with the red and white checkerboard for the Hotville that eventually was that. I saw a picture I came across recently where Bohemond had a shield that had like a palm frond on it, almost like on a buff colored background. I don't know where the hell they got that from. But yeah, I would be at odds figuring out what I would do with a shield for him. I'm not sure what I would do, you know. But yeah, a lot of it is just if you have to make an educated guess and see what a, a balance between what's believable, what really happened, and what looks good on the figure, So a lot of stuff is like that. Okay, so horse straps. Man, what color are we going to do on this? Well, let's look at this banner because this is definitely the banner that we're going to have on here. We're going to have the Jesus banner on here. And we'll add some glue in here so it's not all like limpy and stuff. I think the actual staff that is going to be some kind of a light blue so it pops a little bit. And I think the straps that we're going to do on the horse, we're going to do a buff. And that way it ties in a little bit into the buff of that's on the actual painting here. And this is Little Big Man Studios decals on here. And this one has been sprayed flat. So it's that shiny. But sometimes you like figures that strike a pose. I have a couple, Seleucid bodyguards, or Seleucid. I always call them Seleucids, where all the horses are standing or feeding and the men are looking around without a care. Yeah. Sometimes I want guys that are active, and sometimes I want them to be kind of uniform. It reminds me to never charge in with my general. Yeah. I don't like to lead with the general in the lead. As I like to say, I'd like to find a different way to lose. I'll lose a different way. Okay, so how about we split the difference? Let's use a light color, but not one that's necessarily buff. So how about something like this? So it's slightly bluish. Let's go with that. Oh, but the staff's going to be blue. Well, maybe we won't make the staff blue. Done. Right? All right, let's go back to this so I can see you guys' comments. And thanks for chiming in, folks, keeping me entertained, and that way I'm not falling asleep. Okay. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of charging him with a general. Although the last couple times I've killed a general right off the bat, I went on to lose the game. Like, they're already down in general and they fight tough. I don't know. Sometimes just things don't go your way. That's just part of the excitement of battle. Things just don't work out when the way it looks like they're going. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to use bronze for little stampings here on the horse trappings. So let's get some black in here. Mix these guys up. Yeah, I'll definitely be reading some story and I'll be like, oh, that guy sounds like he's a really good guy to read, really interesting guy to read more about. So I do. So I do. Do I think the general should be a separate miniature that can be assigned to any element? If I was making the rules, yes. Yeah, because that way you're role playing him. I mean, that's ultimately who you end up being. Yeah, I think so. Would it improve DBA? I think so. It just gives you other options. It's another opportunity for the guy to be at the wrong place. And you have to try to deal with that. You're more of a lead by example kind of guy. Yeah, sometimes you just end up leading by the wrong example. That's the thing with knights. Like, if they all go in and they all do well, that's good. But if only one does well, Armati does that, huh? I didn't know that. We did that in our little Renaissance mod because I got the idea from somebody else. I was not aware that Armati did that as well. Yeah, I like having a little round stand for the general. It's cool. If we ever work on our set of rules, I don't know why we would do that at this point, but we'll incorporate that in there for sure. Because it's just one more little, another little fun little thing you can do in there. You know, at some point you just got to realize, okay, we're going to try to make the game as realistic as you can, but there's just some things that just aren't going to be possible. So at that point, just make it a fun game. You know, there's sometimes when you play this that you're like, man, this doesn't seem like a very realistic military simulation, but at the end of it all, it's a fun game. You know, so if you pay something like Field of Glory on the computer, there's generals, but they don't have the impact that they do in DVA. You know, it's almost kind of like it doesn't matter if you're out of command. It just means you don't get like a free 45 degree turn. So it's irrelevant whether or not your general gets killed for the most part. So that's the other extreme of it not being important enough. So different systems have different ways of dealing with that. And I think every rule system has something interesting, and then some things that are like, I really don't like this. I wish they wouldn't have done it that way. Armati has the whole hidden deployment, which I don't care for. And I've played it a couple times, and if your guys are misdeployed, it's like the game's over. But there's some good things that they have, like you don't have to line up to fight. If you attack a unit with twice, you know, you get to compare roles and go on down the line. I mean, there's a lot of things that no one rule set does it all. So does everything perfectly. So I know that Armati in Florida died because of there was disagreements between the author and other people that were playing and a big to do. I don't know. I never I got a chance to play like two games of Armati, and then I showed up to play a tournament, and nobody ever played in a tournament ever since then. And that's why I got involved in DBA. Otherwise, I would have been playing Armati because I have all three sets of Armati. I have Armati, Advanced Armati, and whatever the second edition one is. So, anybody have any advice for painting 6 millimeter Saxons? You're going to use them for my first Battle of Hastings. If I had to do 6 millimeter, I would base them on 15 millimeter stands, on 15 millimeter size stands, and just put more guys on it. It'd be a fine looking game. And then if you had to play somebody that only had 15 millimeter figures, you could theoretically play with them. It wouldn't be like, well, I got to supply both units or everybody. In other words, you still put your skirmishers on these size stands. You just may end up putting them in little groups or whatever. So maybe you have like 8 or 10 or 12 guys on here, instead of, obviously you wouldn't use two, you'd put more guys. And I think it would look pretty cool. It would look in some ways better. Only reason I didn't get into 6 millimeter is I just don't think that there's the true variety for all the stuff I'm particularly interested in. But like I've thought about doing Renaissance in 6 millimeter, but there's one kind of gendarme by like two different manufacturers. It just isn't the variety that I would want it to have. But you could model things in a more correct number of figures. It would look more like the units. So I know there's one guy that did units of this size. I believe they're this size stands. It's like 15 millimeter size stands, but he did in what he called 2 millimeter. But I think I'm going to say carved, but that's not the correct terminology. He made the formations of the units almost out of like green stuff. But like you had war bands that were like almost like a clump of guys, then he would model the guys on the outside of the, very crudely, okay, but he would model the figures along the outside of the perimeter of this formation. So the Romans would look linear and the war bands would look more amoeba-ish on the stand, and it really worked. Believe it or not, it really really worked. I can't remember who this guy is, but this came out probably within the last 2 years. This guy had done that, and I'm like, this is really freaking cool. The guy really thought outside the box on this, and that sort of thing. So I would definitely stick to. I don't think playing a game with stands that are smaller than this, like look at it, I'm holding it with two fingers, is really practical because the smaller your stand is, the more inaccurate you're going to be when you move it and measure. I don't know if that makes any sense, but just because of the law of just being off by a little bit, it'd be significant. So I wouldn't want the stand to be a quarter the size of this for Saloy. I don't know, unless you're making some kind of pocket version of the game. I think that skirmishers on this size stand would be great. You could put little clumps of like three guys here and then three in the middle and three back here and three over there, and it would look better in a way. You would have some of the representations of the way those units fight within the look of the stand. I think it would be pretty cool. I just did 15s because everybody was doing 15s, so I didn't want to supply figures for every side. But if you are, then you can do it however you want. I wouldn't be opposed to painting small figures like 6 millimeter. My problem would be how to get the basing material in between all the figures. Now, I've seen people do it. I've seen some 6 millimeters stuff, I think like Napoleonics or whatever, that are almost to freaking die for looking. They're really, really good. Now, they're exaggerated. The smaller you go in scale, the bigger the heads are out of proportion, but it doesn't matter. It's a game and they're game pieces, and it's just to give you the impression of what the unit looks like. So they work, but I've seen some 6 millimeter stuff that's just really amazing looking because it allows you to add those formations and physically what they look like inside the stand because of the smaller size of the stand. But if you use the same basing as 15, most people are going to play in 15s. You can always use your little ants against them and theoretically still play the game. Not like you have to rebase or anything. So, like if you were going to do, say, Roman legions, okay? You're going to do Romans, and your Romans are on 40 by 15, right? Let's get a 40 by 15 stand here. You could put little freaking maniples or whatever within this. That'd be pretty cool, you know? Yeah, I think that would be pretty awesome, honestly. I think you'll have to think more about what distance you will look at the army, not painting 6 million, not spending too much time on the details. There's some 6 millimeters, guys that look pretty darn good. I wish I remember what that guy that did that in. It was either 2 or 3 mil, but he modeled like the formations, and it sounds stupid, but it worked. I'm telling you, the guy was like he really put a lot of thought into it, and that was really neat. That was really really neat. Oh, we're at the fan speed where it likes to gripe. Let's see. Let's add more speed now. We can always use more wind. I don't know if his name was Mark Backhouse. It could have been. It was brilliant. I was really impressed. Sometimes you'll come across stuff on the internet that's just like, where's this been all my life? And another guy is the guy that I mentioned him before. Well, I'm assuming it's a him. He has a website called League of Augsburg. And this guy does 1/2400 scale sailing stuff in the 1600s. So he's got like Anglo Dutch wars and Portuguese versus Chinese junks and stuff like that. And his miniatures and his board and his blogging is amazing. It's like I'd drop everything and go play that because it's just so immersive. But yeah, that's League of Augsburg. And that's, again, it's not something I'm necessarily interested in, but you see it and you're like, oh, how can I not be part of this? You know? Yeah, Bacchus does have a lot, but I don't know. I don't want to start working on rules. I'm not a rules guy. I mean, this is what I enjoy doing is I enjoy talking about the figures and looking at the figures and painting them and doing the research on them. But rules, they're just a means to an end, you know? Some people like rules and they don't paint, so I'll leave that stuff for them. But the 6 millimeter guys would paint well. I think if you go on their website, you'll see that there's some formations that are just really. They've got like not Franco-Prussian War, Friedrich the Great. You got his stuff on there. Some of those Prussian musketeers with the blue and the yellow and stuff like that, and just really like in formation. They look really really good. So you listened to a 6 millimeter wargaming centric podcast the other day, God's Own Scale. It was pretty good. So God's Own Scale is 6 millimeter. The one true scale is 20. I remember back in the days of posting on the miniatures page, somebody somebody called. There'd be the scale wars way back in the day. This is, I don't know, every bit of 20 years ago when I used to go on there. And I remember somebody famously made a comment that I'll never forget. And he said something along the lines of anything larger than 20 millimeters playing with dollies. I'll never forget that. I thought it was hilarious. Well, I don't do 28, so. And I started with 20s because of those combat miniatures for World War II. Some of these are right here. They're mixed in with these Russians. There you go. Disregard the shitty basing from the 1990s, but yeah, I love these guys. So, yeah. Anything larger than 20 millimeters playing with dollies. Love it. I gotta do a check in and I may have to sign off. Hold on one second. Yeah, I figured it was getting close to sign out time. So we're just gonna have to pick this fun endeavor up tomorrow morning, and should be on. And let's see, let's do some math for you guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 hours from now or so, I should be back on. So be at is whatever time zone that is for you guys, but 5:30 or so Eastern Standard Time, we'll pick up with this guy again, and then we'll go and do Mr. Big and Badass, whatever his name is, the king of all Serbs, or the Russian guy here. So anyhow, we will pick that up tomorrow morning, and we'll catch you guys next time. Happy painting. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and see you tomorrow morning. Okay, folks. Bye bye.